Okay, now I see myself. Anybody here yet? Anybody here yet? There's a delay. Anybody here yet? We have so many issues today. Well, before I get started, let's say howdy, everybody. How you doing? Hope everybody's doing great. Sorry about the mix-up at the beginning. I'm not an amateur, but I'm really an amateur. Still learning. I worked on this all day, trying to get ready for the Florida rally tomorrow. Hopefully, there'll be a lot of people there. Hope we get a lot accomplished here in Florida. Get it started here in Florida and spread across the country. We have a big job to do to save our freedom, folks. There's so many issues. So many issues. One big rally can't handle everything. It's going to take several small, medium, large rallies all over the country, building fires, spreading across the country like wildfire. We have to get people back to where we were in the beginning, when the truckers' convoy left California and all the bridges were covered with people with flags. Patriotic sat there on the bridges waving as they went by. I'm getting emotional. It's a wonderful feeling, folks. And we got to get back to it. There's so much naysaying, everything going on between groups and different people. There's all one cause. We want our freedom. We want our liberty, or give us death. As Patrick Henry said. And that's what it's coming down to, folks. We have to get out there and start talking, bringing a conversation, joining together to be strong. Not just I'm with one group, I can't do this other group. Get involved in all of them. Even bring them together. Have joint groups. Live streamers. Get with other live streamers. Cooperate. Don't fight among each other. Who's better? Who's this? Who's that? I hear so much of that. I get sick. And I've been following this all the way since the first day in California. I have not been able to participate, except for a little bit here and there online, giving my thoughts, my musings. That's why I call this musings, Carrie's musings, because I think about it all the time. It's my thoughts, my way of life. And I've been thinking about this all my life, but like everybody else, I sit back, oh, nothing's going to happen. But everything was predicted back when I was in the 50s, when I was a young boy, in the 60s when I was a teen. It's all coming to fruition. And the Bible, the predictions in the Bible, is coming to fruition. We need to straighten it up. We need to get back to where we're supposed to be. We need to get out there, show our banners. If anybody comes to agitate, just ignore them. Leave them alone. Let them do their thing. And hopefully they don't do anything that's harmful. So far, so good. I'm going to knock on wood here. Anyway, we've got to come together, people. Quit fighting among ourselves. I go on chats and I see people talking about this, that, and everything else, but what they're chatting about and what they're talking about, like it's a social club instead of talking about the issues. We need to discuss the issues in the chats among each other. You can have your frivolity and talk here and there and have fun, but a lot of people just do it to go on as a social meeting. I don't know. I don't understand. I don't understand. When you go in a chat on somebody's live stream, they're trying to promote the news and tell you what's going on, show you what's going on, or talk about what's going on. Let's talk about what's going on. Don't talk about some rodents or some insects or whatever's going on. Let them do their thing. They are not for the country. They're for themselves. They're trying to make money for themselves, and let them try to make money for themselves. And there's a lot of idiots that's going to pay them to make money and make idiots out of themselves. They have no standing. What they say is ridiculous, and I might get into it a little bit more in this. If I'm debating. But all this bickering back and forth and kicking people out and saying things and trying to toss up everything. If you want freedom, speak it. If you don't, leave the chat room. And people in the chat room ignore the ones that infiltrate and try to put in rubs and get people riled up and get them all bent up. Just ignore them, block them. There's a block button. The 3 buttons on the site, just block it. Tell them to go away. Bye. You don't have to see them. Everybody else can put up with them if they want to, but you don't have to see them yourself. That's what it's all about, folks. Concentrate on yourself, not them, yourself. You do your thing. You help fight for freedom. You help fight for freedom, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Are you happy with the gas prices? Are you happy with the drag queens in the church? Are you happy with the churches taking in tax money to do what the government tells them to do and not preaching the gospel like they should be? We have to have these groups that are God-fearing groups. This country was based on the Judeo-Christian religion, though we can practice religion of any kind we want, whatever it is, Buddhist, Hindu, Muslim, whatever you are, your legal right is to practice whatever religion you have, unless it's an out and out cult that does illegal things. And there are those. They are out there. Believe me. There's far right everything. And you just have to live your life. There's far right, there's far left. But most of us are probably 90%, I'd say. I don't know. I don't know statistics, but I would say we're all in the middle. Democrat, Republican, whatever you are. It don't matter what party you are. If you believe in freedom, you're going to use your common sense and you're going to fight for freedom. And if you're sick and tired of things the way they're going with higher prices, food shortages, you name it, I could go on day in, day out of every little thing. So it's going to take millions and billions of people to get out there and talk. But once we get the ball rolling, it won't take that much. We just can't bow down to them and say, oh, please, government, please help us. Please help us. We have to help ourselves. We were set up, the original 13 colonies was set up where they run the government. The government was just to protect the people. Protect the people, that's it. Protect and serve, like the police. Now they're running the whole show. They're running the states, and the states have sovereignty. Not anymore, because they set up their taxes, where they can't get their tax money from the government, and they need help. So they bend the rules to not stand up, but bow down to the government. And we've just been letting them get along. It's messed up our Social Security. It's messed up our seniors. It's messed up our veterans. It's messed up everything. And we can't handle it anymore. We have to stand up, push back, get our sovereignty back. Get our state sovereignties back. Because, folks, you've heard it many times. The government tell us what to do, but they work for us. We are a republic. We're not a democracy. I've said that in a few videos. We're not a democracy. We're a republic. That means they represent us. Our people we vote in, they represent what we say, not what they say, not what they want to do. They're representing the people of the United States to form that more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense. That's it. We should be making our laws. They can process them in the House of Representatives, but we are the ones that should be bringing up these laws or denying these laws. And there are voice pieces, and they are supposed to stand up and say what our voice says. And they are not doing it. They've become lords and duchesses. Just like in merry old England, when King George and the Revolutionary War was fought, they were putting their thumb down on all the people in the colonies. And that's why we fought the Revolutionary War, to get away from the taxes that they were taxing everything from bringing in the country, and anything made in the colonies was bootleg. If it didn't have a tax stamp on it, they would get fined. I just heard Santa talk about this earlier. I had it all written down to speak up, but he beat me to the draw. And that's why I'm a little bit late coming on. I was going to come on about noon, but I was listening to Santa and thinking, going over all the things I think about before I do these. And then half the time I don't remember everything, because I'm getting up there in years. Not that good in health, but I'm still strong. But folks, we need help. We need people to come out to these rallies. We need people to stand up and cheer for us. Not holler at opposition. Leave them alone. Let them go. Let them strain their voices, whatever. I was thinking for the rallies, we need to come up with a common theme. I was thinking like freedom, freedom, liberty, liberty, pursuit of happiness, happiness, which echoes each other phrase. Boom, boom, boom. Or you can even say at the end, and justice for all. Freedom, freedom, liberty, liberty, or justice for all, or justice for all. Boom, 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 boom. Well, that's my rendition for the day. Probably hated it. But anyway, back to the point. There is so much going on. So many people trying to tear other people down. We need to ignore them and keep on going and do our thing and do our part and continue to fight to bring this country back, to get people out there to go through all the records in the cities, in the states, and in the federal, to let us know what's going on. There's so much hidden. We may never find anything, everything. It's going to take everybody due diligence to bring up stuff and try to correct it. We need to vet our people we're going to vote on. We need to make sure when they get to that orientation, when they make the House of Representatives or the Senate in the federal, that they're not going to go into the orientation and fall into you have to do this the group way, you have to do this that way, you have to do this every which way. They need to do it our way. We need to do that, vet that, and make sure they do it before we vote them in. And that goes all the way down, all the way down. The hardest thing I've had with voting is judges. How do you vote for a nonpartisan judge? This past election, I went to here in Florida. A lot of them, the majority of them were DeSantis or Martinez or Republican governors had appointed them. So it kind of gave me the idea that they were Republican and conservative. The Democrats were put in by Charlie Crist, which thank goodness lost. And it's hard to find out what the judge really thinks and what his affiliation is. We need to have people that study these judges and let us know who's who and who's not when we go to vote, so we have a list. It don't matter what party you're in, if as long as a judge does a good job and is fair and constitutional. If it goes against the Constitution, it's no good, because the Constitution is the law of the land. And we have to start right there with the judges, because everything's going to go to court. We have come to an era where everything is court issued. Everything. I just lost the battle, lost my home because of my parents died, and they didn't fill out the proper papers, and cost me a ton. And they sold it out they sold it to another shareholder company that wouldn't work with me. So that's the way our laws are going. And my lawyer just gave up. After costing me all the money, they just quit because they couldn't fight it. There must have been some pretty underhanded stuff when the attorney just says, I can't do it anymore. That's where we are, folks. It's boiled me to the point of no return. I'm going to fight hand and tooth to make it right. I've sat on my tough too long, and I hope you have too. I hear these people say, oh, I can pay $3.50 a gallon for gas. That's only a little more than $1 than it was. But guess what? We just had the midterms. You watch next 2 or 3 months. Little by little, going to go up and up and up to back to where we were during Obama with near $5 a gallon gas. Believe me, folks, I knew it because I was a courier. I paid for my own fuel. Like these truck drivers pay for their fuel, most of them. The independents, they all pay for their own fuel. There's a lot of big trucking companies, but majority of truck drivers are independents. And they depend on fuel prices. And if you leave it high, your food's going to go up. Your insurance is going to go up. Your mortgage is going to go up. And everything's going to go up and up and up. Which you can see it's doing. This don't matter what party you belong to. It's affecting all of us. We should be all concerned. We should be all stomping at the bits, saying, stop it. End the madness. We don't want the government to take care of us. We need to take care of ourselves. Yes, I'm on Social Security. That's not an entitlement. I earned it. And I didn't earn enough. And it burns me up. I think everybody's getting emotional today. Oh, boy, howdy. Anyway, if these protesters, harassers come to you at a rally, just ignore them. They're blowing off hot air. They'll quit after a while. If they see it don't affect you, they'll leave or shut up or keep going. It don't matter. Get your point across. Do your rallies. Yell, scream, hoop, and holler. Chant. don't chant against people, chant for people. Like I say, freedom, freedom, liberty, liberty, pursuit of happiness, happiness. Well, I loved it. I loved it when I'm sitting watching 1776 and the TPC when they were out there. I loved when everybody got together wholeheartedly, cheered, chanted, not fighting with each other, not putting each other down. Excuse me a minute. I don't know. Many of you don't know me, but I just had a OPD seizure Thanksgiving Eve when I was in the hospital from Thanksgiving Eve till that Sunday. And my sinuses are, yeah, but my breathing is so much better. And in future broadcasts, I'll tell why. And I know the reason. The reason is this. I told Buffalo 11 last night. This is bringing me down. It fills up my lungs with fluid. So now I'm using the on tobacco. Nope, can't do that. I'm using tobacco patches. Sorry, I'll probably get a strike for that. But anyway, if you're doing it, get off of it. Leave it alone. I've been doing it since 2007. No cigarettes since 2007. And Buffalo 11, yeah, he told me he had done the same thing and is quitting New Year's, which is a good thing. But y'all be watching. If you want to join in me, I got to put the link up. I'm sorry. Let me invite you in here. I've never done this before, so I really just click on that link and it'll put you in here. And you can talk to me. We can talk together, discuss this stuff. Because, folks, I hope we have a good rally. A lot of people in the convoy. Ariba Dive Girl, she's doing a fantastic job. I try to talk to her every day. I go on there and chat with her a little bit. I've never met her personally, but I'm going to love it Saturday when we get there. It's going to be. I hope it's going to be a big, big rally. If not, we'll still have a rally, and we'll get Florida going, and we'll join and set this country on fire, and fight for our liberty and freedom, because it's going away so quick, so quick. It's unbelievable how quick we have lost everything in just less than 2 years. It'll be 2 years January. It's sad, folks. We are in a scary position. And all the troubles that people are trying to cause people that are trying to do good, it's silly. But there's going to be people, they say up to a third of the people will go out and say the opposite of what you want. They'll try to convince you to black is white, white's black. They'll try to convince you your way, no matter whether you're wrong or right. They'll try to put you to their level, and they're going to keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it with a one-track mind. Some of these people are derailed. I go on and I watch just to see what the opposition is doing. And it's sick to see how people pump them up. And they're all the same mind. They all think the same thing. They want to take down something that's winning. They always try to hurt the winner. And believe me, folks, the 1776 Restoration Movement is winning. And a lot of other small groups are winning. Just like Buffalo Man 11 up in North Carolina, he is fighting against the drag drag queen shows bringing in kids. That is so sad, folks. I don't care if they had drag queen shows. I don't care whether they're gay. I don't care whether they're lesbian. I don't care anything about their lifestyle. I just don't want to hear about it. I don't want it pushed in my face. I don't want to strut it out there in front of my kids. That my kids say, am I gay? Because I don't like boys when they're 9 years old. Boys don't like girls at 9. Girls don't like boys at 9. That's life. It's not homosexual. And the teacher's teaching in the school. Whatever feels good, do it. We have to stop this, folks. And the only one's going to stop it is us. They're trying to kick us out of the school boards. They're trying to kick us out of everywhere. But we still have that First Amendment freedom. But we still have it. We need to fight for our J6ers. If they did something wrong, they need to pay for it. They really need to pay for it. Thank you, Jetty. That's really great. If you'd like to join me, come on, hit that link. I need somebody to talk to. There's a better conversation than I am by myself. My wife, God rest her soul, was my talker. So here I am. Anyway, good to see you, Jenny. Where was I? But we need to get out and do our thing. Let this country know we're tired of it. We're sick and tired. And by the videos at the cross-country convoy, the overpasses, it tells you the story. People are sick of it. And if I'm making funny faces, I get breathy. I had to, but I'm sorry. Tomorrow I'm going to be videoing the rally as they come into the park because I have things to do. I can't make it all the way. It's about 2 hours south of me where they're starting out. The Reba Dive girl lives up here by me. She's going down there. But I won't be able to make it only to the park. So I'm going to video them when they come in. So bookmark this. And as long as I can get there, I will be there and video as much as I can. And maybe commentate. I might not be able to chat because you can't see your phone. Usually when you're chatting outside. There's my lovely granddaughter coming out of hiding. Say hi, everybody.
It's watching me. Oh my God, someone's watching me. I can barely
She's
talk.
not shy. I am. She's like her grandmother. Talk. My wife was from North Carolina, a place called Lumberton, raised in Charlotte. And boy, she had an accent. We moved up to Pittsburgh. And hey, Jenny. Anyway, we had a guy go by our house and she thought he had a gun, so she called 911. And the 911 operator had her on the phone. He said, well, my wife said, well, aren't you going to get this guy? And the operator says, well, they already got him. I just love to hear your accent. Everywhere we went, everybody, oh, I love your accent.
I'm going back to my room. Seems to be immediately attacking me. Stay.
Okay. I'm interrupted. I lose my train of thought. I'm sorry, folks. But anyway, we've got to do our thing. Get out there and fight. Fight for our right. Fight for our freedoms. We're losing them. Mark my word, if we don't do anything, we will lose them. I was going to do a little thing on what was going on with 1776 in the province, but I'm not going to do it this time. I'll probably do that Monday. But I'm just going to show an example. this is what I've been working on. Let me get this up. I've got two monitors here, so I'm looking up. This is a picture. Oop. I can't get back. Sorry, like I was saying, my mouse don't want to follow me. Why isn't it? There we go. Oh, here. Here it is. Sorry. This is a map of Goshen, Indiana. This is where our friend Lori lives. And as you can see at the top of the map, it says in her small town, which is probably what, 2 square miles wide, there is 114 mapped offenders. I was watching on Meg's channel. Meg on Truth Social has a video from the Goshen News of Lori outside of her house protesting. Outside of her house in Goshen. And you have to watch it. If you go to Truth Social, look at Meg's page, and find that video of the news report on Lori. But she has all those sex offenders around her house, and she has to put her mind into trying to destroy a great, great movement. That's what I think about it. And I think that the group did a wonderful job by keeping it quiet at the time. They kept their eyes on the individual. They kept their eyes peeled. I had a sex offender live right next door to me. He wasn't a sex offender. He was a 18-year-old that was statutory rape when he turned 18 of his 16-year-old girlfriend. You don't have to have sex to get statutory rape put on you. And that was in 93. I think it was like 27 to it. 20, yeah, almost 30 years later, he's still a sex offender. But they have to report. They can walk up on your porch and knock on your door and talk to you, and you don't have the right to tell them, you can tell them to get off your property, but you do not have the right to protest against them, to do things against them. That is harassment. A lot of them have done their time, no matter what it is. But I've got a big study I did on it, all the way back in the 1800s when the lowest age was 7 years old in Delaware. And it was the longest holding record. No wonder our Joe Brandon is the way he is, sniffing young girls, because Delaware put up with it. Yeah, where's he from? Okay. Anybody out there want to join me? My dog wants to join, but I don't understand what he's saying. Somebody must be outside. Anyway, I'm going to get this off here. Come back here. But that's an example of things going on. And then, Buffalo Man 11. Was it this morning? Held up a picture of Ant in a diaper with a pacifier. Is that not borderline? I wonder. Seems like it to me. That's just as bad as dating a 16-year-old when you're 18, even if you don't have sex. It's just as bad. You don't do that in front of children. You don't take pictures of children. You don't take pictures of license tags. And they need to get what they got coming. if they can't be peaceful and cooperative and protest without harassing, there's a difference between protesting and harassing. And they are both, unfortunately. But the laws down here in Florida are a little bit different. And hopefully, if they come down here messing around, I believe the county we're in here will not put up with it. I've just moved here. I've been here about 3 months, so I don't know. I know in Orange County they would get away with it, in Orlando, where I came from. In Lakeland, oh boy, Grady Judd, they'd be under the jail. Because some of the stuff they do is ridiculous. I mean, it is unlawful. And they're not getting what they should. And I'll probably be on their list now, but who cares? I was on with Santa and Mags one night. They showed them that they blocked me out. Thank you. Thankfully. And put it on their feed. But that's the things we're putting up with, folks. And we can't let it put us down. Because those people at 1776 were watching. They did the peaceful thing. They did not fight the guy. They asked him to leave peacefully. And you cannot, with a large rally, you cannot vet everybody. You cannot possibly investigate everybody. And there's going to be, who knows, could be serial killers. It could be anything. They could come and infiltrate you, and you'd never know it. We have to listen and pay attention. But instead of starting an argument, a big federal war, and making big time news by making it a point that they were throwing this guy out, they were nice about it. Santa was very, very good. May have been wrong, but he solved the problem. Yeah, I'm getting breathy. Excuse me. Hope you don't have your earbuds on. He solved the problem. He got rid of it. And if you're this type of person, you can stay at home. You can help at home on the computer. And there's a lot of you, probably a lot of listening around the country that are criminally involved. But they care for their country too. And until they get caught, they have the right to fight for their freedom. And if they paid the price, they have a bigger right to fight for their freedom. A bigger right. Because believe me, this neighbor of mine, it was over 20 years, he had to report everything. And they have to report everything. And they do, most of them do report. That map says there was, out of that 100, they had 114 map offenders and 30 unmapped. So they didn't know where the 30 are. I was checking my area. There's 2 streets over where I am now. We have to go on living, people. We have to watch our children. We have to protect our children. And every one of those parents there were protecting their children. You could see it in the videos. They were watching them. They were playing whether they were Bunker Hill in the parking lot or whether they're DC in the mall. They were there watching their children. The one child got away. They looked for him. We have here in Orlando on July 4th an event called Red Hot Boom. It's probably one of the biggest events in the country. And my grandson, no, it was my great-grandson, excuse me, my granddaughter's baby, he was like 2 years old. He wandered just around the corner, just a little bit away from us, scared us to death because there were millions of people there.
Oh, Zakai?
Zakai, yes.
Oh, at Pineville.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But it's an awful feeling, folks. Awful feeling. He was right there, but it was scary. We have to protect our children. And it's up to us as parents to protect our children. It's not up to 1776. It's not up to a rally. We have to watch our own, keep our own. We don't need these critters out there telling us how to protect our children, or when and why and how. They need to protect their own lives and do their own thing. If they want to protest stuff like that, do it in your hometown where you got so much of it. In a small town in Indiana, stay there. Go to Joe Brandon's house, protest there. Leave the people that's trying to do good alone. California, make it so, where's my notes? I can't remember what I'm going to say. Sorry. Minor attracted person. That's a minor. A minor underage. That's pedophilia. Trying to make it legal. Back to the 7 years old in Delaware in the 1800s. Folks, we have to fight. It is getting so bad when right is wrong and wrong is right. And when we say something, it's a misinformation and telling us it's not right. That's what I'm talking about. We need to correct that wrong. We need to bring it back where right is right and wrong is wrong. And the only way we can do it is starting with ourselves. And 1 by 1, 2 by 2, 4 by 4, keep growing and growing and growing. So you like this, guys, share it, pass it out, tell people to join me. Hopefully I can have a little more content the next time. But I'm not looking for I'm looking for the truth. If you'd like to help, you can go on the about, and I got my information there. I'm not gonna beg for money. I'm doing this for excuse me, my granddaughter and the 4 other granddaughters, and the 35 great grandkids, 35 of them. The last time I counted, and there's been a couple more born since then. I lost count. When my wife passed away in 15, I lost count. And I wanted to do it for them. And I hope you want to do it for them. So please join me again. Come back. I'll be a little longer. Hopefully somebody can join me and interact. If you know somebody that likes to talk, I'll talk to. I'll see if I get with Buffalo and Mags and a couple others. I've even been on Santa a couple times, but I try not to butt in. I don't like butting in, but I want the word to get out. I want it done. I couldn't get to DC because of this problem I've been having. On May 28th, they said I had a heart attack. I was on my way to go, and I ended up Memorial Weekend. What's with these holidays? I ended up in Memorial Day weekend in the hospital. They did a heart catheterization. They found no blockage, just very little deposit. They cleaned it out, didn't put a stent in, and they told me I had CPD. Well, I've been doing this vape, and my nose keeps running, my lungs keep filling up, and the vape helped, but it hindered more than it helped. And the doctor told me it's filling your lungs up with that fluid, and you can't cough it out quick enough. But the vapor is going in your nose and causing your nose to run. So I have to quit. It's not going to be easy. It's not easy. But I've been doing good. I watch all these videos of everybody vaping. I'm thinking, oh my goodness. Got another problem. Got another problem. But believe me, I'm the experiment. I'm the pig. I've been doing it. I did it to myself. But that's how we got to correct these problems, people, day by day, week after week, month by month. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen immediately. It's going to be a big struggle. A big struggle. And we right now have to do it. We have to do it strong and gain our numbers, get our numbers up. Not fight with each other, not telling everybody you're videoing this wrong, you're videoing that wrong, you think you're better than me and I'm better than you. And oh my goodness, folks, I'm sick of it. I am sick of it. I love every one of these streamers out there. They brought me the facts. They didn't know what was going on. But when they started the intermix fight back and forth, it killed it, folks. It killed it. That's good, Jenny. That's really good. I want to put that up there. Yeah, a lot of people are. And I studied vaping. In 2007, my wife had a stroke. She had emphysema. I had no sign of emphysema then. But I studied the vape, and I studied the effects of the glycerin. Uh-oh, I did it. I studied the effects of the stuff that went in it. I'm not a doctor. I'm not professing to be a doctor. I will not be, I'll never be a doctor. I wanted to be, but I didn't do it. But I did all the study of harmful stuff to it. But there had been no research into what it actually did to the lungs or whatever. I heard a doctor. I asked the doctor about this popcorn lung, about the popcorn factory workers that come down with it. He said that was a hoax, but it does affect the lungs. He says it's not too far from the truth. All this other stuff they were talking about vape, about it killing people and stuff. It didn't. It was the stuff that teenagers and older people, the drugs and stuff that they put in with their mods, what they call the mods. It's where you put your own fluid in and you can put whatever you want in it. That's what does the immediate harm. The immediate harm. That's what the government's fighting the vape about. The immediate harm. But you can go get flavors at the grocery store. You can go on the flavor shelter for the cake mixes and buy all the flavors you want. You can buy any kind you want to put in it. And you can put your THC and whatever, LSD. I don't know what they do, but they put everything in it and try to smoke it. And it's going to kill them, just like the fentanyl. We have a problem. The government trying to run stuff that they don't belong in. Let the doctors do their job. Get the information out. Get the correct information out. And that's another thing. Oh, our churches. The church. We have to get back to loving God. Quit fighting God in our rallies. Because God is our leader. He's our morality. God or any other God of any other religion. It all amounts to the same. They're their conscience, their morals. But we have to have it. It's not a cult. It's not a cult. It's believing what you believe in and how you believe it. All about how you believe in it. It's not a cult to believe in God. God does everything for us. And if you don't believe in God, where do you get your morals from? Morality is kind of built into us, so it's got to be spiritual in some way. No matter what you believe in it. Confucius, Hindu, Native American, us as Christians. Jesus is our Savior. He died on the cross for each and every one of us. He didn't die for one sin. He died for all of our sins. Every single one of them. And we have to believe, it's like John 3:16, whosoever believeth in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. And it's not believe, it's believeth. It's a strong point word. Believeth. It means you live it, you die for it, you do everything for Jesus. As long as you do that, it don't matter what church you go to. You don't even need to go to a church. There's not a church mentioned in the Bible except for the group of Christians. It's the church. It's not a structure. Oh man, when I watched them in Utah, that was a revival. And people say they're drinking their cokes in church, they're eating in church, they're doing this in church. Never said that. The Bible has never said you can't eat in a sanctuary, in his house. Now the original temples, nobody went in but the rabbis. Nobody would accept them. People didn't go to a church. They learned the scriptures from whatever they had it written on by word of mouth. They memorized it. They repeated it. They passed it on to their children. And it wasn't until the 1600s when the Gutenberg Bible was printed. Well, 1600 years after Jesus died, the Bible was printed for everybody. Think about it. How'd they believe? Did they sit down and read the scriptures every day? No. Did they pray every day? Yes. Pray without ceasing. That's all we can do. Pray without ceasing. And he's our best psychiatrist. In fact, that's probably how psychiatry got its idea. People praying to Jesus and feeling better. So we got to keep our trust in the Lord. We got to do our thing for our country. We have to bring our country back to the Lord. We have to straighten up our churches. We need to straighten up our government officials. We need to vote them in and vote them out. Get them to represent us and not them, because we're not a feudal system like England and Spain and all that years ago. And I think it's trying to tell me to take Jenny's thing off. I don't know. It's flashing. That's weird. That's the first time I noticed that. But I'm sorry. Hi, Crystal. I got talking and I was going to say hi and I got sidetracked. Easy to do. Easy to do. I'd like to meet each and every one of you. Hopefully I get up to North Carolina. That's where my wife's kinfolks are, and they still take me in. They still take care of me. Oh, she just told Jenny she lost her phone. So anyway, hopefully you heard me say hi, Crystal. Been chatting with you a bit here and there, and Jenny. Glad to see you on here chatting again. So guys, please spread this out. Anybody out there watching, come on the chat room, talk with us. I'll put your line up if you want it up. Or I'll put this invite up again. Oh, I know what I got to do. I know what I have to do. I have to pin it. I did that with Buffalo last night. Whoop, nope. Give me just 1 second, folks. Let me put it on 1776. Oops, I didn't mark what it was. I'm sorry. Oh, it says it. Carrie's Musings. That's the pin there, and then I'll go on YouTube. Hopefully my sound's not on. Yeah. Too many clicks. I don't know how to pin it on that. Oh yeah, I do. That's not right. Oh yeah, I do. Oh yeah, there we go. That's not right. Oh yeah, I do. Oh yeah, there we go. It's getting dark in here. That's right. Okay, I'm back. Everybody see that now? I didn't put it on Facebook. I hope you all not. Everybody's on YouTube. I didn't put it on Facebook or Rumble. I am on Facebook, Rumble, and and YouTube right now. I will spread out to my others. I'm on everything. I'm on Telegram. Carrie's Musings on Telegram, on Orbeez.net, on True Social, on what's the other one? There's another one there. Hang on, let me. It's hard to keep up with. Oh, Getter. Sorry, Getter. Yeah, I'm on all those. And on on the YouTube, it has some of them on the page on my logo. Yeah, right on top of the logo. I got my Discord, FaceTime, True Social, Getter, and Rumble. So if you're talking to anybody, you can let them know that that's where they can find it, right there on the YouTube page, Carrie's Musings, and they can find me there. Sammy, can you turn the light on, please?
Someone's attacking me.
Uh-oh, dog's attacking my granddaughter.
He's trying to eat. That's why I never come out of my room. You realize that, right?
Okay.
Hide myself in the
Okay,
room.
go if you want to get away from her, put her outside or go in your room.
I'm trying to eat one.
Sorry, folks. Take a personal matter here. Anything anybody want to say there before I get off of here? Chat up a little bit. Speak now, or I'll see you tomorrow at the rally. And I hope it's going to be a fantastic one. I hope we do good. I've been spreading the word here. I know y'all been spreading it on your pages. I've been checking your pages and everything. Everybody's advertising it. And hopefully Arriva Davigo will do good, and Shireen. We want to keep Florida straight. It's not perfect here. Believe me, it's not perfect. We've had our ups and downs in Florida. But I tell you what, I worked the polls back probably 10, 15 years ago. I was oath person. I took care of all those provisional ballots and all that stuff. I become clerk, but right before I did the clerk, I had something happened and I couldn't do it. That really made me mad because I was always in the polls. And the oath person is probably more important than the job. Well, hi, Jenny.
Hey,
There you go.
trying to
How
figure
you
out how it works.
Good to meet you. So where are you from?
Alabama.
Alabama. Good place. I have a few friends in Alabama. But I wish she could talk for me.
No. I already lost my voice.
Oh, you lost your voice?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else want to join? Come on in. Chris Anderson said Wyckoff was talking about it today. That's good. That's good. So you got anything to say, Jenny?
I'm from Georgia and Alabama.
Okay.
Raised in Georgia.
Is that like Florala?
What's that?
Is that like Florala?
Yeah, maybe.
Florida, Alabama. There's a town
Right.
down there called Florala.
Right. As far as the we were just talking about the church. in Georgia, my grandparents took me to a big Baptist church. I grew up Baptist. And we moved here in '89, and there was a church down the road, but my mother wasn't into going to church. But I've always, read the Bible and, sought for my own self. I was saved at age 9. So I was seeking the Lord in my life. Uh, and I got mixed up with a guy when I was in school. He was 5 years older than me. And I didn't know it. I thought he was just 2 grades ahead of me. But anyway, ended up marrying him. We were together 23 years. But in that time, and all the difficulties and trials, I'd get on my knees praying at times. That you hear people say, "Well, when it gets real bad, then you cry out to the Lord." And I was so distracted that it was taken away from my connection I had with the Lord.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I also felt that I was being protected also. I mean, I felt the presence, but at times I wondered why, and I'd go to the Bible, I'd read to my children. And after I had him escorted out, we started going to church. The first church I went to down the road that I've always been curious about, it wasn't long before they were pushing the children out. They didn't
Mhm.
conform with their standard, I suppose, and they were actually starting to make way with some of these difficult children. And I didn't like it, and we left. I tried another church, and it seemed controlling.
Right.
Yeah, there was some good to it, and it was helping my son in some ways. My other one connected with it, but then it became manipulative and controlling, and there wasn't but a few people there.
If you have a
So,
tattoo or a nose ring or anything in your ears, or they
no.
tend to kick you out.
Well, anyway, there's another church that I've off and on have been to, and it's not the big fancy churches.
Right.
And we got together and put an old shop together and made it into a church. And it's not bound by ritual law. I guess non-denominational, but
Right.
kind of leans more towards Presbyterian, maybe. But
A
anybody's
mix
welcome.
of everything, right?
What was that?
A mix of everything.
Yeah, and we just become family. And there's times that it just I don't know. There's something missing. I felt and I pulled away from time to time, and I think it's the works. But again, you don't have as many people there, and they're all the older people too. So it's just been, this past generations of the falling from the church and people in them church buildings.
Right. They're
But
getting
I see why they pulled away, and me and my dad sat and talked about that too. He said, the preachers changed. When these preachers retired and other ones came in, when they started bringing in the basketball goals and the playgrounds, and he said it's lost.
mhm.
So
There's
anyway,
a
that's
lot of
my
people
2 cents on that.
that's why I say church is not the most important thing. The binding together and sharing of minds is the most
Right.
important thing that you do with other Christians. And it doesn't take a mega church to do it,
Right. And then the small support I have around me, it's like when you talk about the struggles you're in, and then you get, well, you ought to do this, and you ought to, and it's just like you're not listening.
No,
You're
they're
just
not.
giving your what or thumping a verse at me or something. And even in the church, I felt that way at times, and it's just like there's no help, not
It's like
there. I mean, no
they're
support.
talking about the government. They're talking no equality. We're not equal. We're born
Right.
equal, but we change from the day we're born. Become our
Right.
own become our own individual. There's no such thing as equal.
And each struggle is different.
Everything's different. You have to be
And the
yourself.
word is a living word.
And it's the same thing in the Lord's work. You have to do what you feel is right, not what your neighbor, not what your preacher, not what anybody else says. You had to be yourself, even if you had to do it by yourself.
Yes,
Like
sir.
I'm saying, the Bible does not say you have to go to church. Does not say that. He said communicate with him. Communicate
Right.
with the Lord. I cannot find a church that I was raised in what they call Westwood Methodist, which is holiness. More like Pentecostal, where they shout and run the aisles and praise the Lord. I was raised that way. But when I became a teenager, I was asked, I was, voted to go to Columbus, Ohio, to the Ohio State Fair with the Ohio Youth Choir for winning music awards, my bass voice. And they picked me to go to the state fair to sing. Well, my minister got up in the church and said I was sinning. And another friend, he was going to the auto races and climbing up a tree watching the auto races, and he was sinning, pointing right at us, talking right at us, and it kind of disenfranchised me.
Right.
But I've never gave up my faith because of it. I've wandered a bit. I've done a lot of bad things, not really bad, but I've done things I've done my sins, but I've made it right. I'm trying to live day by day, and I don't go to church. I do go to church, but I don't go every Sunday. I do my Jesus Lives group on Facebook and on YouTube. I do it. I was doing it twice a week, and then when I went down, I couldn't do it because I couldn't talk. But that's the way I feel, and people look at me. You can't be a Christian. Well, why not? You can. You have to do it by yourself. You have to do it on your own. You have to live your own life because that's what the Bible's talking about. It's talking about you. It's not talking about a whole group of people. It's talking about the individual soul. He died for everybody, not everybody. So you have to
Yep.
believe on your own and do your own thing, just like you do in your everyday life. You don't ask everybody neighbor what you should do, what you should wear out to shop or whatever. Same way with the church. Why should they tell you what to do in your life? Tell you what groceries to buy, tell you what fuel to buy. You can't buy Texaco, you got to buy Gulf, or you got to buy Shell, or I'm talking old stations here now. But anyway, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the way religion should be taught. You study what you believe, as long as you believe it, as John 3:16 says, you're gonna go see Jesus. And stay away from the things that you were normally would be doing, following Satan.
Right.
That's how you have to live, day by day.
Right.
I think you were on when Santa was on earlier, right?
I was
Is you-
watching the last half. Yeah.
Yeah, because I thought I was such a good, but I put a comment on there that, one day at a time, one step every day, a new step, just keep going. Don't think about the future, do it one day at a time. One
It's
day,
hard.
and
That's
there's
hard.
a song like that too, one day at a time.
Right. And I do. I'll sing that. I tell my son, we have some rough days sometimes, and he gets aggravated with me and upset. And I told him, I said, I've got a lot on me too. I said, I go to bed at night thinking, well, tomorrow's a new day. Maybe I'll get some more stuff done. Just one day at a time. That's all we
Right,
can do.
that's right. And recently, I found that out more than ever. Being down, rough.
Right.
Take it one day at a time. Do what I can
Right.
do. Some days I can't go. I can't go online. I can't do this, but I do it. I do it because I see the wrong that's being done. I want to make it right personally. I want
Right.
to do it.
Well, I drew my son out of school. He was just starting to fit in. He had gotten in a band,
Hmm.
and but he had had some behavioral issues, and I pinned it more on just what was going on in the home before his dad was out of the house, and just all the commotion and the hurts and everything. I figured a lot of that was that, but there was time passed. He should have been doing better. And then when COVID hit and we had the virtual school, and I'm hearing stuff, had joined Convention Estate, so I was hearing about schools and stuff, and I started looking into it through his virtual classroom, and I'm going, what in the world are they doing here? What is this about? What are you actually learning?
It's
And
pathetic.
the more time he was out of school, the better his behavior became. And so I started he had went back to school. I didn't want to take him out of band, he was finally fitting in and enjoying something. But there was a group of parents that went to the school. They were gonna go against the mask mandate. Well,
Yeah.
I already knew from talking to the new principal that, they were gonna let it up at the end of October because I was contemplating drawing my son out, and she was begging me to keep him in. They want that extra funding.
Right.
And
They get
so
money for every student. I
that's
went through
right. And
that. I went through that. I'm raising my, I was raising my 2 granddaughters. One is just here and her older sister, she's 14. But, Samantha started getting sick. She was missing a lot of school.
Mhm.
I was the caregiver because her mother's, you know, out of the picture right now. But, they would say they had to after they'd been out 3 days, they had to have a note from a doctor. So I was constantly taking her to the doctor. And so I finally withdrew them, and I went into virtual school, and then COVID hit. And her behavior in school was terrible. Like you said, I know the feeling. And
Yeah.
but once but the thing about homeschooling is you have to be on them the whole time they're in the class, and you can't possibly do that. That we needed some kind of structure where people that homeschool, they can cooperate among other people that homeschool
Right.
free and not cost us a fortune.
See, at that time, I was going between 2 different churches, and I'm going, "There's no reason we can't set up classrooms here." I was
Right.
telling them what I was seeing in the schools, but they don't wanna look and see, and they're going, "That's not here in our school." And I'm like, "It's not flamboyant and bold like you're seeing on the news." I said, "But it's here. The roots are here."
Sure. Right.
The social emotional learning program was established in 2003. That's when the new building got built out there. They got that money and, agreed to that program, and they built, and everybody was just so happy of the bigger, better buildings and stuff,
Mhm.
that money.
They just want the
I'm
money.
sure some people probably pocketed off some of that too.
Let me tell you, if people band together and work as groups in their church, that's what I'm saying. The church is going wrong every which way. They're taking the 501 money. They're doing what the government wants them to do for the tax money, and they're not doing for the Christians. They're not helping people. They're not helping the needy. They're not helping what they're supposed to be doing. People are giving their tithes to them to give away to the government and to build bigger monuments to themselves, not to God, but to themselves, because they take the glory for building that big monument to God. I think people should pay their tithes to poor people in the name of God. That 10% should go to the
As I'm
needy,
saying,
to the poor,
I've been
not to
down on
not
my
to
knees. I've been down on my knees, and it just seems like I have no help. And to try to go to the church for some kind of support, and I mean, I'm not like going and begging for money. I'm showing up and being there, and
right.
trying to explain my circumstance, but all you get is feeling worse when you leave.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And then I told him one time, I went up for prayer, and I told him, I said, "I have asked. Y'all keep saying, ask you shall receive." I said, "I have." And you preach, um, faith without works is dead, but where's the works?
Right. You have to have the works. You have to do for yourself.
Yeah,
That's what it means. You have to do it yourself. You can't depend on others. You can't depend on a church. You can't. The only one you can depend on is Jesus and God
yep.
and the Holy Spirit. That's all you can do. Put your faith in them and forget all else. And it says that too. I'm not good at quoting the scriptures because I forget it. I forgot, yeah, a lot. I'm getting older, and then I used to never take a note. And now I got a whole page full trying to keep up with myself. But
Right, right. But I was going to that Board of Education, and I noticed, they had it online, but
uh
sometimes their cameras would go down or what have you. And COVID was there, so they made us sit in the basement and watch it from a screen. And then at one time, I was able to go up and then realize that it was packed full of the principals, and they were giving out checks to the principals.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of amazing what I didn't see, before on camera. And so I would see it. I started coming to the meetings. I couldn't get that group of parents that were concerned about their mask to show
Mhm.
up.
Right.
So it was just me. I showed up, and that first time I showed up, my tire was flattened. I left there with a flat tire, and I asked him to review the cameras. He's like, "Ma'am, you were there. Did you have a question?" I said, "Yeah, I've got plenty of questions." I said, "But I'm observing for the moment, so I know how to speak and what to say and what I'm speaking to." And so I had told him that the principal agreed for me to to sit in class. "Oh, no, ma'am, you can't do that." I said, "Yes, she told me I could, and that's
Yes.
my child, and I'm going to see what's going on in the classrooms." And so next time I went up to the school, let my child off, I said, "I'll be back for the sit-in in class." "Oh, well, I got to thinking about it, and we're just going to do a tour, a little 10, 15-minute tour." And she walked me through. She told me not to be talking to any of the teachers and all, and I didn't quite like what I was seeing. And so, I mean, just the demeanor and how they teach and the instead of a teacher-student relation, it's more like friends relation, kind of thing. And so and cool kind of stuff. Well, then I went to a one classroom and it was an older teacher and she's got it going on. But, I'm able to talk to her. It's break time. Principal is trying to scoop me on out there. And she's going, "This is what we need. We need more parents involved in talking to the teachers. This is the solution." Because the teachers have been crushed too with all this. And so she walked me through what her discipline type stuff is on how to get them to do their work. But yet my son was very far behind on the work and they all got laptops in front of them. So they're
Right.
goofing off. And so in the worst case scenario, they get this book of shame. They sit and write their name in. And I'm like going, "Really?" And he's not doing his work. I said, "But yet my son's allowed to be in band." I said, "And yet they've been falling behind on the grades and they get passed to the next grade." I said, "There's no consequence." And the principal told me that, "Well, that's where the parents are supposed to step in." Well, at the time, you know, when parents are so busy trying to pay bills and work and you don't see the reflection, you're not getting really the phone calls. So how do you know? And there should be a discipline at the school too. A
There should.
consequence, like if your grades aren't good enough, you don't pass.
Right.
And they keep passing them and then they go out dummies.
Mhm.
It's a mess. And then once they knew that I've seen all this and I'm spreading the word, trying to bring awareness of things. And my son was reluctant to go to school. He was giving me a hard time and having a lot of bad days. Well, there's COVID going on there. It's just stressful on the kids. And so he pleaded with Mama, they're not doing truancy right now because of this COVID thing. Well, they weren't. And I just had no more energy in me to get them to go. And I was just like, you are feeling a little sick. Well, just take precaution. Like they're trying to push. Well, all of a sudden they lifted that and wanted to throw me and truancy into a court. I said,
Right.
"You know what? I'm done playing y'all's games." I said, "I'm drawing them out right now." See, right
And there.
before that was the white Christmas holiday thing. And so they had read my son his rights. A policeman had came in and read him his rights. And my son told me. And it was over a conversation of him and this other boy. The talk on the news that the other boy had heard was a shooting of somewhere up north, that shooting at a school. The kid went in and shot some people, and the
Yeah.
parents were on display and all that. Well, the kid was talking about it and saying something about the seniors. And since he was talking to my son, somebody overheard. So anyway, the police came in and read them their rights. My son tells me, and I'm thinking, okay. And he says, and the vice principal told me this. And I'm like, okay, and very well should have. But I'm wondering, why didn't the school reach out to me? Why hadn't the school said anything?
Right.
So a week later, when it's the day before they go on vacation, the vice principal calls me and tells me about an incident on the bus where he flicked a mechanical pencil and the end of it hit the window, and he's going to be suspended for a week. And I'm going, really? And I asked Isaac, I said, what goes on in that bus? Is that the only time anything's thrown? He said, no, people throw paper airplanes all the time. The
All
bus
the
driver
time.
don't say nothing about it. They honed in on him because they got an evidence room. And when they see somebody sticking out, it's going to cause trouble. They'll start bringing up stuff, and they'll make it hard until that person just sits down or shuts up or, don't say nothing. And I ain't that person. Now, I had no strength to keep fighting it. I just pulled them out and got out of the stress. I said, we'll do it a different way.
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
can't.
I got so sick of homeschooling with the girls and hearing the teachers tell them to get your camera, not them, telling all the other students, turn your camera
Mhm.
back on. So you're not doing this, you're not doing that. Constantly off and on the camera. And even my girls, I'd leave the room and not watch them a little bit. And they'd be beside me. Oh, I'm hungry. I need something to eat. I'm taking a break. It's hard. It's tough. It's
Right.
tough.
And that was another thing during their exams, and it was in that month of December. They were doing a whatever it is, SATs or whatever they got
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And they were doing that, and they had some free time in one of the classes. Well, okay, back in the day when I went to school, during those times, you had something educational. The teacher would bring out the TV, we'll watch educational film, or she
Right.
had something for us to do. But instead, this teacher allowed them to do whatever. And so it would have been a perfect opportunity to catch up on any work or do some extra studying. But instead, you got two girls that's on TikTok, one of them that was related to the police officer that read him his rights, and had the TikTok video on their phone pulled up in front of his laptop and doing TikTok dances and got the teacher involved and recorded the teacher. That was the day that he got in trouble on the bus. And so
Mm.
I threw that back on the vice principal, and he was like, don't start in on my teachers. And I'm like, well, if
Yeah.
they're going to act any which way, and then you expect him to get on the bus and not act any which way, when the bus driver just based off of whatever emotional feelings she's going through that day, no.
It's like I keep saying, back when I was in school, I didn't even know my teachers were married. I didn't know anything about we didn't know nothing about their personal lives. Nothing. I was 15 years old and people moved across the street. It was my French teacher and her daughter that I went to school with. I was like, whoa, they are real. you know,
Yeah, right.
and that's the way it was. They didn't talk about what they did at home. They didn't talk about what they did with their husband. They didn't talk about what they did in the bed. They didn't talk about all the stuff that's going on now.
Right.
And
There's a learning and a respect and behavior.
we need to get back to teaching respect and learning, just straight out learning. They're not teaching them anything in school. My granddaughter, brilliant mind, she don't know she knows her multiplication, but she doesn't memorize it because they can use a calculator.
Oh,
They can
yeah,
use
don't
they
even get
can
me
use
started
the
on all
phone.
that. That's what I was
They
looking at.
they can use whatever, other alternatives they have except their brain.
Right.
So,
My son was in 8th grade, but yet had the spelling of a 3rd grader, and basic math would confuse him.
right.
And he didn't hardly know how to write cursive and would be in tears because he wanted to sign his name and didn't know how to sign his name. And I
Yeah.
brought that up to the principal and the new principal.
And they're
And I
not
said, something's wrong.
they're not teaching cursive anymore. It's gonna be a unknown language. We got
Right.
something on them. We can write and they won't figure out what we're saying.
Right.
It's pathetic the way things are going. Well,
And
hey,
the thing is, they did teach it, so they could technically say that they did teach it, but it's not
not required.
continued.
Right. It's not. It's just
They
part time.
they're too much focused on the higher education and advancing that they can say that they taught it, but it's not continued on to get engraved in them, I guess you'd call it, or whatever you want, the practice part of it. And
Yeah.
then also they don't know how to sit and focus and have quiet time because I wondered why when I'm trying to study, I'm getting interrupted all the time. And I know by nature he's just like that, this one. And but still a lot of that can be corrected, but not if school's not complying with me and with the structure that should be. You should have respect for other students studying too. If not, you should be in trouble or, put somewhere else. Well, I found out one time he had spent a whole year in 6th grade in a corner facing the wall. The teacher said that he studies best that way, and I didn't know it till halfway through the year, and I was like, "Excuse me?"
They don't sit like that for no reason.
So, anyway, and then I found out that one of his teachers would play certain music tunes and said that it helps them to learn better.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't agree with all this
I can't
different stuff
remember
they're
that.
doing.
I
It's
don't
like an
remember.
experiment. Let the teachers do whatever they want and teach whatever they want and experiment however they want. I saw some of the YouTubes they were pulling off of to teach from, and I say, all right, now you go and see what else is on that YouTube channel. And it
Mhm.
would be something that would be far out, in that wokeism and stuff. And I'm like, no, we need accredited stuff. And we got lack of books. Well, I got in touch with one teacher that was willing to talk a little bit about, and she likes some of the things, but that anyway, she's not so much wanting everything to be stickler either. But she kind of gave me an insight of what she knew about the book situation. So
Right.
I said they would be coming, but some of the other ones would be later on, but who knows?
But what I was
I
gonna
just
say,
don't agree.
there was a movie a while back, I can't remember what the name, not a movie, but a documentary about, how they were putting schools on like a conveyor belt system, just passing them down the conveyor belt. And
Yeah.
and then I found out that they actually are just passing them on. The, last school I had my girls in, the, uh, guidance counselor told me it's just they're just passing them to be passing them. They don't have to they're not required to learn
That's that no
everything.
child left behind, the dumbing
Right,
down.
yeah.
And the
But
no
Jenny,
bullying in
I'm
school
gonna have to get
created
off
bullies.
I'm gonna have to get off here. I'm gonna have to cut this because, everybody's gonna be coming in from work shortly, and it's gonna
Right.
get noisy. But anyway, it's a pleasure talking to you.
You too.
A
Thank you.
pleasure. So, until now, I'm gonna tell everybody, God bless this country. God bless our troops. God bless the USA. I love all of you guys, and come out and join us, and let's get this started. Let's rumble. Good night, all.
Absolutely.
Bye.
All right. Thanks.